that you probably remember we passed out the very first session, just kind of went down the list, came up with things that are, that I think if we were able to get responses on, are things that we being able to be packaged together is, to get an agreement on compensation. So, not gonna say at this time that this is an exhaustive list, because we did go through it very quickly. We just kind of flagged, I think, most of the major things. There may be one or two other things that we come up with, in which case I'll advise you by email as soon as possible. But the things that jumped out at us right now, let's say this is a mostly complete list, but not necessarily exhaustive. All right, so we've already talked about last time our interest in getting proposals on Article 6, discipline, Article 7, reduction in force. Those are on this list. And I'll say on Article 7, I think the thing that, the sort of substance that we're largely interested in here, you know, in addition to just sort of having a process laid out, is we would like there to be, you know, in some contracts you see language that just says, you know, management will decide who to retain based on what management thinks is important. I mean, we would like there to be some objective basis for that. We put this sort of point system in ours. So I'm not saying that you need to agree to this particular point system, but you know, we do think it's important for there to be a system that people can look at and understand and say, okay, well, here's where I am on the totem pole, so this is what I can expect to happen to me. Reductions in force are rare. I think if we take nothing else from the conversation today, we take that there's a strong commitment from the college to not ever have that happen, even if it means lower salary increases than employees might prefer, which, you know, we appreciate that consideration. But we would like for the language to reflect a, you know, some sort of objective basis for the decision of who gets laid off. Doesn't have to be what we propose, but that's, I think, what we're looking for in that article. And discipline, I think you understand our position on that. Another one that's important is Article 12, the tenure, promotion, and rank article. In particular, the proposal that we made has some changes to the process for earning a continuing contract. Most of the rest of it, I think, pretty much just tracked existing IMMs or board rules as far as the recertification process, the promotion process, and the criteria to achieve particular ranks. I don't think we attempted to make any substantive changes there, but there were some changes to the continuing contract process. So that's an important piece for us that we would need to see a response on. As far as some different sections of other articles, those are the only three articles that we would like to see in total. There are some sections of some other articles. Article 9, Section 4, which is on office hours, and the thing there that we're particularly interested in is the ability to conduct a number of office hours per week online. It's something that we're starting to see a lot of in college and university contracts, is the right of faculty to do so many hours of office hours online. From what I hear, they tend to actually be, in many cases, better attended, and students get more out of them than, you know, having to schlep all the way to campus anyway. Then in Article 13, I think we gave you a proposal on this, but I couldn't verify whether or not we had received one back. But in Article 13, part of what we had proposed in our most recent proposal on that was the ability for a faculty member who's out on leave to conduct their classes online. And I think that what we had put in our last counter was, you know, provided that the dean agrees that that's something that's pedagogically sound or something to that effect. I don't think we've received a response for you on that. But that's that's something that we are interested in pursuing and, having more conversation about. So if you have responded to that, let me know. I couldn't find a response to that. And if you haven't, that's something you may want to look at. In Article 14, there's a few individual sections. A lot of what's in Article 9 and 14 is either tracking existing policy or stuff that's fairly boilerplate.
Which article?
We're now looking at Article 14, and the sections that we would like to talk about as soon as possible are Section 3, the right to privacy. And then Section 9, this is parking. Although that's probably limited in what's able to be done on that, it is something that we want to have a conversation about. From what we've heard, there are some issues on that on West Campus. I think, Caitlin, you're familiar with a couple of them. Talk quickly about some of what you think is not just, obviously we can't have parking garages everywhere, but what are some things that you see that could be done that are probably feasible?
Basically, I'm going to call it the G lot. I think it's lot 9, but basically the lot that abuts G building, the R building and S building all across, which is basically the primary academic lot. Every time there's a community, anything on campus, there's no parking. Every time we train the police, they all park there at like 8 in the morning. So if you show up, unless you have an 8 o'clock class, it's very difficult to find parking remotely close to where your office is. I usually end up in the library or, sometimes like the M lot behind, I think it's lot 6. I don't know, it's a nightmare. And I mean, there are things that even if we didn't get actual faculty parking, to just park for those things somewhere else. Basically, either A lot, B lot, somewhere else. It's a nightmare. And I end up wasting probably 15 minutes a day just driving around trying to find parking. So
Hesitation on doing that now is the IRS changed the rule. If you dedicate spaces to anybody on any of your campuses, it now becomes taxable. The college would have to pay a tax.
But we could definitely, instead of routing everyone to, park in this lot for this community event, no, route them to a different lot, park here for this community event. And that would alleviate the problem because the lots kind of out in the back near the tennis courts don't really get used that much. And frankly, I think our academic lots should be for faculty and students and staff, not just a free-for-all where it's the one lot that almost everybody has to park in to be remotely close. And I mean, I wear heels every day, so.
So I think what you're saying about IRS regulations, if you decide to designate a lot as like faculty only.
And if you designate one spot, then it makes the whole thing taxable under an equation. Now, tons of people are trying to fight the new IRS rule, but that's what's in place. And we technically have no spots designated under those rules, so we don't have to pay a tax.
Well, what is how much, is the tax expensive or?
I'm not sure what the total, we'd have to calculate, but it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
What about having like on a community event day, just say park here, like a little, temporary sign during special events? Can you do
That's
that?
something they could look at.
Okay.
Facilities could look at.
We talk to
When they put the
facilities.
signs up and directing them.
And honestly, when we train the police, they don't know how to carpool. It's like 3/4 of the spots in G-Lot are all cop cars.
Yeah.
And
They
they're-
can't, we talked, they can't do that because each one, an officer comes with a unit and has to, they come with the vehicle.
Make them buy
And,
something else.
and also in an emergency situation, they have to be able to mobilize and get into their vehicles immediately. And that's one of the potential
Okay.
challenges. With other programs, we have done that. We put, some signage, like for whenever we have the, children come from,
Pasco schools
Pasco,
or whatever.
the buses park in a particular area and then the students are given a campus tour. But we can review that. We can review that even with the officers.
And especially if they're having their training at the library, they could totally park in the back lots and it would be almost the same walk.
Yeah, the
in.
training's usually in the Performing Arts Center. That's what the pack, that's why,
Yeah,
but we'll talk.
Because we're always like, Percy, every day.
So, yeah, I think you understand the issue. So if there's a creative solution that won't, incur a bunch of taxes.
And that's a different issue than having faculty designated parking, which was a situation 15, 20 years ago where that was an ongoing problem. So that's something I think we can address compared to having designated spots for faculty to the detriment of students.
Yeah.
Because our philosophy has been that we have open campuses and open college for the community, faculty, staff. No administrator has better privilege to park anywhere. We park
Right.
wherever we can park. So, but that is, I think, a little bit more focused, and we can address that by
Even the
having.
students complain.
Beg your pardon?
I said even the students can't get into park there, so they complain too. We all kind of complain together.
Well, I appreciate that information.
That would be
We
great.
can look into that.
Cool.
A couple more sections in Article 14. Article 14, Section 12. Our proposal was just essentially that the Today Care Children's Center on West Campus, that 50%, we just 50%, just picked a number, that a proportion of those slots be reserved for faculty who teach on that campus. We thought that was probably something that shouldn't really have a price tag to it. But I think for obvious reasons could be a huge benefit, huge quality of life improvement for faculty who have to deal with childcare. So maybe there's something we're not aware of why that's impossible, but we thought we thought that would be a good thing. Hopefully an easy conversation to have.
Even though it's not contractual, I would add staff in that too, just because I know people who couldn't get their kids into that daycare, who work here, but may or may not be faculty. I know we can't negotiate that part of it in the contract, but just going forward, consider staff too.
Next one was 15. This is vacancies and transfers. I don't know there's necessarily a huge problem here that we're looking for to be solved, but it is, it's a significant boilerplate piece of any union contract. So we're interested in having a conversation about that. And then finally, in section 17, committees, this isn't something that existed in our first proposal, but in kind of as things have unfolded over the month since we began, interest has come up in having limits on the number of committees or basically the sort of workload associated with being on committees. We don't have a particular proposal on that in here, and we don't necessarily come up with one in the 20 minutes we were upstairs, but that's an issue that I think would like to address. Kind of a workload issue is, okay, how many committees can people be asked to serve on? Or I guess required to serve on might be a better term. And that's it for now. I think this will probably be exhaustive, but I can't definitively commit to that now. We may look at this in a couple of days and realize there's another piece that is very important, but I think that should give you some direction for the next couple of sessions. And I think what we're kind of envisioning is hopefully we can do some sort of package that involves Articles 10, 11, and most potentially all of what we just kind of ran through. Resolve a lot of the stuff that's significant from our perspective, and then hopefully we can get that done in the next 2 sessions. Maybe optimistic, but if we can get that done in 2 sessions, then I think that really puts us on track to not even need dates in December and into the next year. We could be done with this by the end of the fall.
You guys have a chance to look at the dates?
We didn't talk about the date specifically, but I mean, Friday, faculty are off on Friday, so I mean, we can make Friday work.
No, not nursing sometimes, but mostly.
Sometimes not nursing, but it's the day that's gonna work the best for people. So.
All right, then maybe Pam start looking at some of those locations on those dates and see if they work, and we'll email around and confirm.
Yeah.
Same as before, if you wanna put stuff on the counter and if we don't need it, take it off, it's probably easier.
Do we want to try and do like, those 5 days, do we want to try and do like one at each campus?
Sure.
Or could we try to keep it here?
No, the
Because
faculty
this is
wanted
more-
to rotate it.
Oh.
We got
I mean,
requests
this
from
is
people,
more centrally located.
but not for some people. So if we could have one at each campus, that would be great. I think.
Well, there are a couple of
We got
days.
5 dates.
There are 5 dates.
Five dates and they're 5 campuses.
Yeah, a couple of those dates are the Council of Academic Affairs meetings, so those should be on the West Campus, since the majority of folks will be in the department chairs, program directors,
Okay,
come to those meetings as well, in addition to the academic administrator.
okay, as
those
long
should-
as we could have like one at East and,
Yeah, the way we had
Porter,
it before
whoever,
was
yeah.
reasonable.
as long as they're not all on West
Kind of
Campus, I
imagine
think that would make people
all
happy.
those inputs and
Look on
shake it
the
up
main
and see what
calendar.
location
Yeah.
spit out the email us.
Right.
30th and the 22nd would be.
With trying to get different ones. What's
No, it's not.
doable versus what we like. Hopefully
Yeah, I mean, I
match
think
up.
the district sort of divides neatly between east and west. So. Some east side, some west side. I think it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
So no Spring Hill, no Porter, no North.
I mean, whatever's convenient. I'm just saying, let's have some,
Spring Hill's great, it's like 2 blocks from my house.
some at the campuses on the west side of the district, some at the campuses on the east.
Yeah,
side.
well, you remember the initial proposal that we presented was to have, if you really want to have a good representation of faculty, also include Hernando County. So we
Right.
say where do we have Spring Hill, North Campus, so every Porter campus, at least have a smattering of opportunity for those particular faculty members who might not, because of classes, have the luxury to be able to come to another campus. So you might want to consider that, maybe a few more on West because of these meetings, but then just make sure that all of our campuses might be represented equally.
Sounds great.
These dates have you considered Pasco or?
East,
Oh,
yeah, Pasco County.
Oh, okay,
Big city.
okay.
And we've had most of them on east, right, the east and west.
We had one this spring.
It's one in Springfield,
And one in North.
one in North.
Okay, well, I mean, I think we don't disagree, we'd like to move it around to the extent possible without making anyone pull their hair out.
Let's see what we can come up with.
Mhm.
And having rooms available.
Just one question to help us in our discussion regarding the accessibility to email. So how is the United Faculty of Florida communicating to collective bargaining unit members currently?
We have a personal email list, but it's not complete with every bargaining unit member.
Okay.
So
You're using personal, not
We're-
college.
right now, we're using personal. We have used college email for all the bargaining unit members, but we switched to personal email.
And, like, for instance, this is sort of the most basic level of interest in having access to college emails. If we want to, announce ratification or, we've signed off on a contract, come here and we'll explain what it's about. If we only have personal emails, then we're only talking to our own members, right? And faculty who are not members, but who nevertheless have an interest in what the contract has to say and a right to vote on it. They're gonna have less access to how do they figure that out, right? Where do they go? How do they find out what's in the contract?
Or just bargaining dates, just basic stuff that even if you're not a member or you haven't given us your personal email, you still should have a right to know that we're having a bargaining date on this campus at that time.
And I think people check their work email more often. I mean, I know I do. I check my work email every day, but my personal maybe once a week, twice a week, depending. So I think we get faster access.
I think we know what topics you're looking at, so let us, I don't think I'm confident we won't be able to address all those in 2 weeks, but we'll look at all of that over the next couple of sessions and try and put together some packages. See if we can't make some progress.
Do we want to consider the possibility of meeting essentially all day on the other sessions? Will that, I don't know if that would help facilitate making more progress?
I mean, I always block off the day on mine, so, and I think our side, we mostly try and do that. I can tell you the challenge is always that we get all together, we've got 15 people on our side, probably the same. We all, a lot of input, and a lot of it is, oh, we need to go back and study, calculate that cost, and then start putting together drafts and things of that nature. It's hard to do in an afternoon. That's always the intent. Every time we go to conference, got an hour plenty of time to discuss these things out. Next thing you know, it's like time's up.
Mhm.
But I have the day reserved on the 23rd. You guys are. I see a pain look on your face.
Well, we can get back to you. Let's look at our schedule.
It's the 6th, so, I mean, let's try and shoot for that. If I don't want to meet for the whole day if there's nothing to meet now, but if there,
Bonding might be possible.
I have 23rd and the 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 23rd. You know, if you need help running your costume efficiently, you should get Lauren. Very good at getting people on track.
Yes.
They're gonna have to create, have a
Brings
designated
together.
person, look less in the shape whenever we start that off track.
Well, the challenge with a lot of this is we have to talk about the contextual issues that relate to the article.
Mhm.
And they invariably bring up more questions than solutions, and that helps with making the determination. Because there are a lot of scenarios that have happened at the institution that we have to look at as it relates to that particular article. You know, and so that's where the discussion, it's just not a simple,
We have the
let's just
same
discuss.
problem.
Right, of course, let's not just talk about this. Gotta look at the entire picture.
All right, I think we know where we're going for the next couple of sessions, so let's try and hash it out.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Take care.
We have some leftover
I was gonna say,
sandwiches
leftover
upstairs
sandwiches,
with,
anybody wants some?
yeah, if you guys want sandwiches.
I would've joined
go-
you.
Oh, go play, grab a sandwich.
I'm not sure.